Let's start off by taking a look at the overall market performance today. It has again been very aggressive, movements to the upside this time as opposed to the downside. Yesterday we also had a fantastically strong day. Is this a dead cat bounce, or would you say that we can actually maintain the positivity?
The momentum is definitely behind the market at the moment. We did see that jobless claims were released today in the United States, and they were actually slightly disappointing once again. We were up 300 points midday, and we actually went into negative territory just after that, and we actually closed at highs of the day, as you can see. So I'd like to see the momentum carry on. I think it can continue for a while. Of course, we're all looking to see those, or hear from Obama and Bernanke on those speeches and what they decide to do going forward.
Would you say that it really is about now the reversal in the negative sentiment that has been prompted by the debt overhang in Europe and the US? And would you also say that it is about a possible alluding to another stimulus package by Ben Bernanke that could shift things dramatically?
Yeah, it definitely could shift things. There have been two previous quantitative easing packages, the first one and the second one by Ben Bernanke and his team. Tonight he'll be briefly discussing it. He has called for a meeting, an extended two-day meeting, which should take place on the 20th and the 21st of this month. Perhaps people are saying that he could be kicking the can down the road. It might not solve, the whole debt issue and jobless claims and growth, etc., in the economy. And also, people are debating whether it's necessary. The Republicans are actually against a third quantitative easing. They say the first one and the second one didn't work at all. So we'll have to wait and see.
Well, let's take a look at some of the local stocks. Impala down significantly. In fact, the biggest loser coming through on the top 40, down just over 4%. Aquarius Platinum shedding significant ground yesterday. And again, it's really got to do with indigenization talk and worries over in Zimbabwe. Do you think that this is just a knee-jerk reaction to the negative sentiment, or do you think this is strong money that is actually flowing out of these stocks?
It could be both. Zimbabwe does want to take over these businesses and actually provide a large chunk of that shareholding to the local black community to try and prop up that give them more cash. But Impala's got quite a strong debate, and they're saying we are the biggest project in Zimbabwe at the moment. They're actually up to $1 billion. They've actually injected $1 billion into that economy, and that should provide a lot of growth to GDP and create jobs, etc. So I think it's going to be an ongoing debacle. We don't know how it will end. It has been going on for a period of time. A lot of the companies are giving in and giving away a large percentage of their shareholding. Impala, whether they do it or not, we'll have to wait and see as well. I think it'll be ongoing for a long period of time.
Would you buy into the Impala story, the Aquarius story at this stage, or too risky?
It is very, very risky. At these sort of levels, a lot of the platinum stocks have taken a big dive. They're a lot weaker than the rest of the resource shares relative to Anglos and Billitons and African Rand Minerals. They've taken a lot bigger of a decline. I would say it's definitely risky to get in at these levels, but at some stage, they've got to, you've got to take a stake and say, look, I'm prepared to be involved at these levels, and hopefully they sort it out, and you'll get some upside there.
Let's touch on Sanlam. We saw first half earnings increasing by 30%. The stock down around 3% for the year. And when you see it relative to its peers, it's actually done quite well. We saw fund flows increasing by 72%. We're seeing new business coming to the fore. Of course, a strong player now in India and the rest of the continent. Is this an overall optimistic story for Sanlam that says that the prospects going forward are going to be challenging?
Yeah, they did say that the second half will be very difficult to match the first half results. They've just actually spent 2 billion rand on a huge investment in India, on a financial services business as well. So that's looking promising. They're going into Mozambique next year as well. They're all in Africa. They generally perform quite well, and they've generally always been in line with consensus and given market expectations and come out more or less in line. So I don't think so. I think there's a lot of prospects there, and I think they're doing fairly well.
A buy for you when it comes to Sanlam?
I think so. I think it's fairly stable and solid, even in tough macro and in micro, conditions. I think for them to produce 11% growth, I think is fairly good in this sort of environment.
Let's also touch on First Rand, which was out with a trading update today.
Yeah, very good trading update.
115%, as much as 115%. Astronomical
It's
number.
earnings per share. It's not headline earnings per share. Headline earnings per share will only be released next week, Tuesday, when the results are out. Earnings per share, up 110 to 115%, huge. But that's really because they sold that OUTsurance business. So a lot of cash coming in from that, and that's where that's reflected. And also the unbundling of Momentum. So a lot of cash there. Perhaps maybe they'll pay a special dividend. Well, hopefully for the shareholders.
Okay, headline earnings per share, what kind of number then would you be expecting?
I don't know, probably in line with the rest of the banks, maybe between 5 and 20%. I don't think it'll shoot the lights out. I definitely think that FirstRand is the preferred bank of the big four. A lot of people are loving what they're doing in terms of being very innovative, and they've come out with new apps for smartphones, and so they really are, I think, ahead of the curve.
Daniel, it's quite fascinating. You said maybe they'll pay a special dividend, and we've seen a lot of companies coming out with fantastic results and with a very strong balance sheet and a lot of cash on the balance sheet. Do you think that it is prudent that a lot of these corporates keep or hold on to the cash, or do you think that they actually should be paying out special dividends, or should they be embarking on share buybacks, or just keeping a strong balance sheet?
Looking at Sanlam, they actually did a R1 billion buyback now as well. So, it depends. I mean, I think it's nice for shareholders to get a special dividend. It keeps them happy. They're happy to stay in the stock longer, not putting any selling pressure on the stock. If companies have a lot of cash and they're not looking at any acquisitions, why not pay a special dividend?
Let's touch on manufacturing in the country as well. And no surprise there that we're starting to see what is happening in the PMI number moving through within the actual manufacturing space. Again, a strong rand. We're really worried about where this space is headed. And again, business confidence is really just proving the fact that overall sentiment is at low levels.
Yeah, look, it's really a global factor, I think. The US being downgraded and all the sovereign debt problems in Europe, and job growth is really at minimal levels. We've had all the strikes recently. That's putting a lot of pressure on wage demands, and just really people don't want to invest. So they don't want to do expansion, and they're a bit worried to invest in sort of in things like that. So, and also Eskom with the high tariffs. So a lot of pressure on those businesses, and that's coming through.